Yes. As the Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs and Research, I want to take this opportunity to thank all our students who have taken charge to attend this session. And then I want also to assure you that for those ones who are attending, I encourage you to even welcome other friends from all over, in this country or any other country. Secondly, I want also to assure you that the session we are doing is a fully professional session, which is done by all other universities. It's an international recognized setup. Of course, seminars are one of the sessions which build students from the level of undergraduate to postgraduate, to the scholar section, up to the level of PhD. So we've introduced this in the university so that we actually set up a historical event which will be organized also at the same time cultivated for all the years. This forum, as we've done, is going to allow our students to learn the techniques of how they can cope up with the normal application. Of course, it's an academic, but apart from that, it's a session which applies more on academic, and also it adds at the application daily life. Of course, the session has given for presentation cybersecurity. This area is going to allow our students, specifically for IT, to be in position to have hands-on. And of course, with the presenter, who is our lecturer and also the principal of Musanze, is one of the experts which we have in the university. And given that he's actually taking up this session, we trust that it's going to be done well. Students, I want to assure you that after these sessions, the university is going to provide you certificates. If you happen to attend more than 2-3 sessions, then it will be better for you. In other words, we are saying every department, that is the Department of IT, will provide certificates. Business will also provide certificates. Law will provide certificates. And then all other. So the more sessions you attend, the better for you. For example, like in the evening, we're having a session which is dealing with accounts. And finance offered us from 6. That is also a seminar, but it is cutting across on business. So I encourage you also to cross boundaries. When it comes to that time, you also attend that session. Of course, I'm so happy that our students are up to the task and they're armed to make sure that they attend this session. Of course, as we are just starting, I want you to encourage other students who are still at home. Any person who has been a class representative, specifically like Agape and then others, I want you to call on all those students. Make sure you've communicated information to them, and every student who comes should also come with a friend from different universities, because this one here is a seminar which is cutting across. Of course, other comments will be provided, but for now, I declare that the seminar is opened officially. Thank you very much, Katende. You can proceed with the teaching. I'll be following up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DVC, for the introduction. And I just want to thank your guidance on this, which has made us to think of how best can we be able to still continue learning, even under these uncertain times. Now, today I'm going to present or talk about or discuss about cybersecurity. I know all of us have heard about this. All of us have at one point been attacked or have been casualty of cyber security. Either knowingly or unknowingly, but at some point you have been a victim, or you have been used to launch attacks to others. So cybersecurity awareness is a general topic. Just like I said at the beginning, that anyone can actually join in, because all of us who are going to be in one way or another be affected, or in one way or another you need to be sure, or you need to know how best do you defend yourself in situations where you've been actually attacked on internet and all the other techniques that we are going to look at. So I've broken down this presentation in a number of components. Excuse me, those who are not, let's try to mute. I'm going to mute all people so that we don't have disruptions. Okay, that is fine. Now, what I was saying is, cybersecurity is a bit wide, but you're going to look at how do you know that you've been attacked by someone. 2, we're also going to look at how do you prevent yourself from being attacked. We're also going to look at what are the tools, or which ways are used by the cyber criminals to attack you. In how many ways do they, or which tools do they use, or which platform do they use? How do you get compromised? Later on, we shall find that majority of the attacks, they zero down on you as a person. In fact, later on, as I'll be summarizing, you'll find that over 80% of the problems we have are associated with how we use our gadgets, how we access internet, how we access and use our computers, and something of a sort. So allow me to continue here. Also, I want to welcome the HOD and Acting Dean, Madam Mercy. You are welcome. I've seen you on the page. Now, 1, the threat is real and is not going anywhere. Just like I've said, some of us have been hacked before. Some of you might be lucky enough that you've not yet been hacked, but that should not be a reason not to protect yourself. It can happen to anyone at any point in time without even knowing. So traditional security solutions simply are struggling, keeping up with the credible pace in which new ransomware viruses are being produced. You find that as of now, we are going to see that majority of the attacks that are taking place are on the increase. And the particular tool they're using is what you're calling the ransomware virus attack. But you're going to explain in details how does it work, how do you get compromised, and something of a sort. So 15% of the businesses in top industries are all getting hacked. And 71% of companies are actually being targeted by ransomware virus. Now, someone can even ask, why do you think people are attacking you? Or why do you think you are vulnerable? There are very many ways, or very many reasons why someone can attack you. Right now, as we shall see later on, there is a lot of attack based or because of the possibility of creation of a virus for coronavirus. So majority of the companies being attacked now are the medical facilities or medical companies, that is hospitals, pharmaceuticals, you are talking about clinics, anything that relates to COVID. Because COVID-19 is a money-making machine. So in event that someone comes up with a vaccine now, will automatically get the most money. So there is a lot of attacks taking place, but on medical facilities, but shall get the details as we move on. So allow me to continue. The importance of cybersecurity, as long as you have internet, it means that you can be attacked from anywhere on the planet. Yes, you can be in Rwanda here, but someone attacks you from China, from Jamaica, from Russia, from USA, anywhere, because now the world has become a global village with the presence of internet. But what are some of the risks that will be caused by poor security, either knowledge or practice? One, we have identity theft. Identity theft is very common now. And why is identity theft very common? It's because people want to identify you want to hide your identity by picking someone else's identity. So I can easily call myself the Vice Chancellor of University of Kigali by copying his identity. There is the monetary theft, which is very common because someone wants to hack the bank and become rich instantly. There is the legal ramifications, where you can easily be sued in case you do so. There is the sanctions that can be brought about, and also termination if the policies are not followed. Then we also have the traditional security triangle. This one is very common for all the people who have done IT. We always talk about the 3 pillars of security, and that is confidentiality. And when you talk about confidentiality here, you are trying to make sure that only the rightful owners or users of data can be able to access and view and see that data.
Excuse me, Speaker.
Yes, please.
Yeah, kindly let's welcome the Vice Chancellor of University of Kigali, Professor Tombola, is on board. Please give him a bit of a few minutes to air out, to give us the blessings as we continue. Professor, you are welcome.
Okay, thank you, DVC Academic and Research, and thank you, Mr. Katende, for the training you have already started. I joined the silently because I wanted to also be a learner from your expertise in IT. Yeah. The things have become very easy to listen and then to understand. It was very good, to the extent that I was not even able to stop you. I was enjoying the lesson, and thank you for being a trainer, and I welcome all the participants. I've seen some of the lecturers. I welcome the acting DVC Academic of UTB, Dr. Mbanza Bugabo Jean-Baptiste, of whom I've seen. I welcome everybody on board, and this is a good activity of which the DVC Academic and Research has planned for. And this gives us a way of preparing ourselves also to resume. As soon we are resuming, this puts us in the mood of learning. Yeah. May God bless you, and I open officially this kind of trainings. Let the training, everybody benefit from all these trainings from various schools, and I hope everybody will get benefit from the trainings. And as I can see that it is recorded, make sure that each session gets a report of which people will know that the University of Kigali had a training to its students and even to the staff. May God bless you and have a nice day.
Thank you very much, VC.
Thank you very much, Vice Chancellor. I'm sure
I appreciate
the floor back to continue. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay, I just go back to where we were, and I was talking about confidentiality, the 3 pillars of security. For you to say that you are secure, you need to make sure that you are confidential, your data is confidential. In fact, we normally abbreviate it as CIA, and quite a number of us might start thinking of the Central Intelligence Agency, but it's confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So integrity means your data can only be modified by the rightful users and owners of that data. If someone else modifies your data, that means you are not in any way secure. Then availability means that you as the rightful user and owner of that data should be able to access that data anytime, any place, in whichever format that you saved it into. So when you talk about CIA, as long as all these three pillars are in sync, that's when you can say that your data or system is secure. If at one point your data is not confidential, that means you're not secure. If at one point your data can be modified, that is, you've lost integrity, that means your data is not secure. And if you cannot access your own data, that means it's still not secure. So when you put all the three together, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, that's when you're sure that now your data is 100% secure. Then we also talk about cybersecurity framework, framework, which are the core that we talk about. One, we always look at... Yes, please.
Can you repeat confidentiality before you proceed?
No problem. Confidentiality means that your data should only be accessed by the rightful user. So that is why you say confidential. It is just like all of us here have got smartphones, and we always put passwords. The reason why you put passwords on your phone is to make sure that it's only you has access to the data on your phone. That is the confidentiality component. The moment someone else can be able to hack into your system and access your data, that means you're no longer secure. So confidentiality all means you, the rightful owner, be able to access data alone, but not anyone else accessing it without your knowledge. Thank you.
Mr. Katende, yes, I can't see where I have the hand to raise it, but okay. Okay, the hand I can't see it from where I can raise the hand. But if you can elaborate on this question which was asked by one of the participants, yes, the traditional cybersecurity triangle. Yes. You said about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. How can we make this triangle? I understand confidentiality, yes, everybody understands it. Integrity and availability, then how can someone build that triangle?
Now, thank you, VC, for the question. This is how we can be able to integrate different components to make sure that, one, your data is confidential. That's why I was starting to talk about the passwords. Because when you put passwords, and later on we shall also dig deeper, which type of passwords are you putting in place? Because sometimes people put ABCD as a password and they think it's secure. But you're going to go deeper to understand what is the type of password that you can actually put that will be easy to remember by you, but hard to crack by someone else. So that is also part of the presentation, but we shall go in details later on. Now, when you talk about integrity, that is all about not allowing someone to modify your data. Now, this is where we bring in the issue of encryptions. When you talk about encryptions, that means you are making your data, scramble it in a form that no one will make sense of it or will not understand. You know, you can only modify what you understand. So if you can't modify, that means you cannot, say you can't understand, you can't modify. But also still when you go deeper in security, we have what you call the hashing algorithm. When you talk about the secure shell, you talk about the MD5. Those are software algorithms that exist that can easily tell you that the data you are accessing has been modified by someone else. So that at that point, you get to know that the data I'm working with is no longer, has been tampered with, so it's not as good as it's supposed to be. Then the availability is more about you putting in place that you avoid someone who can hack you by either sending viruses that will overload your server to a point that you can no longer access your network or access your data or access files on a server. And to do that, normally we use things like firewalls, which can block off external attacks. So when you have a very good configured firewall, it means that your data will be safer and easier to access anytime without being compromised. But you're going to break down all these three later on within the presentation, as we shall be understanding much better there.
Okay.
Thank you, Prof. So to go ahead, when you talk about the cybersecurity framework core, all this you're talking about identifying. You need to identify who is the rightful user or who has hacked you. You need to protect your system. And we shall talk about the different ways of protecting, because you have different layers of protection or defense. You need to be able to detect. Detecting, we are using what you call the intrusion detection systems. When you're talking about the intrusion detection systems, this can be host-based, where you put it on your computer, or it can be server-based or network-based, where you can easily tell that someone was about to hack into my system or actually succeeded in hacking, so that you can be able now to protect yourself in future. Then you have we talk about recovery and restore. These two sometimes are merged together. When you talk about the recovery plan, cybersecurity recovery plan, because recovery, it means that here we are talking more of the backups. Just like what some of the IT specialists or security specialists say, it is only a matter of time, which time is not defined, that you can either get hacked or your hardware, that is your hard disk, it can crash at any single time. So putting that in mind, you need to have a recovery plan in place. And one of the recovery plans can be creating an updated backup, that in event a student hacks the university server for Macs, because it has very many retakes, the university has a capability of getting the backup and replace whatever has been compromised. Or some students might want to do exams, but they have not yet paid fees. So they, because as the skill hacks the server for finance, it would be very wrong for finance to say we've been hacked and we have no way to recover. At that point, it would have costed the university a lot of money and a repetition. So for the university to recover from that, you just go back and get the recent updated backup and you reinstall it back, or you restore the data that was there. And at that point, life will go on as normal. So I'm going to discuss all of these as we move along, but briefly, there are two things that people normally confuse. We have security and safety. When you talk about security, you're talking about protecting your computer and data, just like the way you go at home and lock your door when you're going to sleep or when you're moving out of the house. That is security. Safety is more about the behavior, ways that you protect yourself against the risks and threats that comes with the technology. Why am I saying that it's more about the behavior? Very many of us use internet. And let me give a simple example here. Very many of us go to internet cafes, you borrow someone's computer, you go to a public place, you go to the computer labs, you open your email address, you put in the password, and up there it normally brings a component and says, do you want to save the password? And most of us usually click on save. Yes, the password might have been very strong, but you're clicking on that word save. It means anyone who will use that computer has access to your email. That means at that point, the safety is off because you've left yourself very exposed. It's just like when you're at home, you go to sleep and the front door or the back door is still open. That means you're no longer safe at all. So the behavior as we use the internet is a very big component on how to stay safe and maintain the security. So here we need to stress and emphasize more on the two differences, but they do work hand in hand, as we shall see along the way. Now, there is a very big challenge when it comes to security or cyber security. We want something that is convenient, that has a lot of functionality, usability, but all that we have to think of the security. Now, in most cases, when someone is looking at convenience vis-a-vis security, many people will choose the dancing pigs. I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone or any Muslim in the house for the choice of the picture, but the message here is people will always go for the comfort of the software and will not look at how secure is that software. I can put a very simple question here. How many of us are using Linux or are using Macintosh or what you call Mac operating system? If you have used Linux or Macintosh, you can even say yes, or you can put up the hand on, when you go to somewhere within the settings, you can put up a hand there. Very many of us want or prefer to use Windows because of the convenience. It is user-friendly. It is click here and there and you have everything done. But very few of us are using Linux because it's not very user-friendly. But when you talk about security, you'll find out that security of Linux is much improved as compared to the security of Windows. But because of the flexibility, convenience, usability, all over the world, almost 80% of the population is preferring to use Windows. But there are consequences that Windows is very easy to hack. It is virus prone, and Linux has no virus that attacks it now as we speak. But it can still be hacked, but at least needs someone with a lot of experience and skills. So when you come now to user awareness, which you're looking at now, we need to understand, how do cyber criminals work? One, you have the system administrator who will write his scripts that are useful to manage the network, which is very good. But as a hacker, by the way, there are two things here that we try to mix. We have a hacker and a cracker. A cracker is a person who will write a program to destabilize your machine and destroys the data you have. Hackers normally don't destroy data. They will steal the data, but they'll leave it the way it was because they don't want to be seen or to be known anywhere. They are so sophisticated that they will disappear and you'll never see them again. So here you have a cracker who will be able to write a program that will attack softwares. Now, as you go to the internet to download the different softwares or to download the different programs, there is already an SQL injection which has been put there by the hacker, which will cause buffer overflows, the password crackers, the password dictionaries. They're already there. You as a user who is not sophisticated enough, you just want to just download the software. Since you know how to install, you can be able to execute the program. But as you're executing the program, behind there, you are automatically enabling a virus or enabling an attack on your machine. That's why later on we shall be looking at how do you determine which software, which particular websites are safe for you. And there we shall know that any software that has got what you call HTTPS, or in full, which is hypertext transmission protocol secure, because it uses the secure shell. That is the one that you can be able to use to do any transactions or to share any personal data on the email, on the website. So here, if the attack has been the codes have been downloaded, the user has run them, then the report will be sent to the person who sent it saying there is successful attack. So the crazy man broke into whatever file that you had. Now the criminals can now be able to create, can be able to sell bolts, can be able to generate spams, can be able to sell your credit card information, can sell your personal data, and you can see there the cost that someone will earn. Someone who can be able to have a malware package can get between $1,000, $2,000. If you can be able to get emails, there is $8,000 to $10,000. With very many pieces, you can compromise more than $1,000. Cyber criminals earn a lot of money, as we are going to see in the examples that we are going to have later on.
Mr. Katende,
yes.
There is someone by the name of Wilson Shaka.
Yes, please.
Who rose his hand.
Yes,
maybe you can give the floor to him.
Please, you can. It's because I'm screenshotting, so I might not be able to see. Yes, please, you can continue.
Yes.
Mr. Shaka?
Good morning,
yes.
sir.
Good morning, how are you?
Good morning. My name is Wilson Shaka.
Yes, please.
The problem I had, the first problem was about this CIA triad. There is another word called authenticity and non-repudiation.
Okay.
So how those words can you relate with this confidentiality, integrity, and availability of data?
No problem.
So another question is how those ransom attacks can attack you when you have a licensed operating system, licensed other application without any download from your computer. These ransom attacks.
Okay.
Another one is.
Can I first, just a minute, Shaka. Let me first answer the first one so I don't lose track. Eh?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you talk about authenticity, authenticity now sometimes goes with non-repudiation. Authenticity, we usually bring two words here. We have authorization and authentication. Authorization is about providing either a yes or a no, approving.
Yes, like give someone privileges.
Exactly. When you come to authentication, you are trying to prove who you say you are. If I can use an example of your Windows operating system, you put the username, and then after you put in the password. Now, when you put a password, there are two things that you expect. It will either tell you you can open, or it can tell you invalid password. Now, when you put in the password, you are authenticating yourself.
Yes.
Authorization is after authenticating. The moment you authenticate and you are the one who you say you are, then I can be able to give you privileges. If you're a university student, what shows that you are a University of Kigali student is your ID. If you prove to me that this is your original ID and authentic, then I allow you to enter. So non-repudiation is connected to that. Non-repudiation means you as a person who has received information, you should not have the idea of denying that you didn't receive the information. Non-repudiation is more like non-deniability. There are very many people who have received messages and claim, me, I never saw it. Me, I never received it. Me, I never had it. But whenever you go back to who sent, you can track back. Let me give an example using our phones. Because on our phones, there is that capability you can enable. When you send a message, normally it just says message sent. But when you go to the message settings, there is that option of delivered. That message delivered will only come back to you who sent it if the person who has received it has opened the message. So you cannot tell me that you didn't get the message when I saw the message saying delivered. On WhatsApp, we normally have the blue ticks. There is no way you can tell me that you didn't see my message when I've seen the blue ticks. Because the blue ticks will only appear when you have opened. So in security, you have the non-repudiation, so that you don't wake up and say, it was not me. I never received it. The message didn't come from me. That deniability is what we remove by using what you call non-repudiation tactics.
Okay.
Now, you can remind me the other question.
The other question was about these ransomware attacks.
Okay.
Where some attackers may send a script in your computer, then encrypt all file that you have
Now,
with a certain extension.
It is very good that you brought it out now, but I'm going to talk about that question in details in the next slide, because that is where I'm going to go deeper into what is a ransomware attack. How does it work? How do you become vulnerable? So
Yes.
instead of answering it that way, let me go to the notes, then I give you more details there.
Yes.
All right. So when you come to the leading types of threats, we have the ransomware, which Mr. Shaka was talking about. We have the viruses, which all of us know, but sometimes we take it as a by the way. We have the worms, we have the Trojan horses or the logical bombs. You have social engineering, which has become a very big component of security attacks now. We have the rootkits, we have the botnets, or what we call the zombies. But let me go in details of each and every component there. Now, when you talk about the ransomware attack, now a ransomware attack, these are the type of attacks that someone attacks or sends you an email. Then, ransomware attacks works on people's psychology. Very many of us, as human beings, there are things that we get compromised on very easily. One, all of us here love free things or love money. Two, all of us fear God or Allah. Now, how can you be a target of a ransomware virus? You go to your email and you find someone is saying you have won a green card. But before you ask yourself, which competition did I go in for me to have won the green card? Did I fill any form for a green card? Did I register for it in any way? Because you want to go to America, immediately click on that link saying you have won a green card. But you don't ask yourself whether you actually registered for it. Or you have an email saying you have won your prize. Click on this email to claim your prize. You are clicking on an email saying you've won a prize, but you've not even asked yourself, did I register for any competition for me to have won a prize? The others, because we fear God a lot. By the way, I fear God very much and a very good believer, but the hackers have manipulated us in that way. You find someone sending an email and says, please share this email to 10 of your friends in less than 1 minute and you'll get instant blessings. The question I will ask here, which Bible verse does it talk about sharing and getting blessings? But because people are desperate, they will share. Now, all those emails that are coming of that nature, actually, they are not normal emails. They are trying to tempt you to open an email that will enable a virus now to run on your computer. So you find that you click on that email and immediately it will copy all the data and encrypt the data. Now, we call it a ransomware because it encrypts your data and it will ask you to pay money in order to get the key that will help you now to read your data again. It is just like in real life, police normally handles crimes of kidnaps. Someone will kidnap your baby or your wife or your parents and says, if you don't give me $1,000, you don't see your parents again. Then you give the money and then they'll let them go if at all that happens. Now, this is the same scenario that the attackers use when they're launching the ransomware virus. They send the virus in form of an email that it encrypts every data on your computer, everything, to a point that the only way you'll be able to access that data is after you have paid them the money. And for those of you who have been following security, there was an attack which we called the WannaCry ransomware attack in 2017 around May, where more than 150 countries, and those countries, I'm not talking about the third world countries, we are talking about countries like US, Russia, China, and all others, which were hacked, and the world is believed to have lost over $2 trillion because the data was encrypted, and if you had no backup, you could not easily get back your data. So that is how normally ransomware attacks work. But they play a lot on the social engineering aspects, as we are going to see them. They look at your weakness as a person. And because we fear God, we love money, then you find yourself becoming easier to manipulate, and then you become a victim. I can move on. Now, when you talk about viruses, these ones, at least we've had a number of times we've talked about them. But a computer virus is a software program that is deliberately designed by online attackers to invade your computer, your interface for the operations. It can be able to copy, it will be able to corrupt, and at some point, it can even delete your data. Now, these viruses are designed in a way that they can be able to do a lot of havoc on your computer. Someone will ask, why do you need to create viruses? Majority of this is basically for economic purposes. And as we go on, you'll see even some people create viruses just to feel proud that I'm good enough in computer. So a virus will normally attach itself on a running program. That's why when you double click and install a software, that execution or that executable file normally is attached. You find it is attached to files. You might find those which are attached to the disks, that is your flash disk or memory cards, because those are very good at transmitting and spreading the viruses. But all that you try to tamper with it, and you have a computer that doesn't have an antivirus, automatically you get the effects of that virus. So in order to recover, one, you should always avoid potential unreliable websites or emails that are coming from people that you don't know. You should know that this email is coming from someone who you trust. Always, you should be able to create a restore point in your computer. And the other bit, if your computer has been hacked badly, the only alternative you'll have is to reinstall the operating system. But the problem with this one is one, that reinstalling an operating system means formatting your local disk C. And if you've not been backing up your data, it means that you're actually going to lose the data that you have on your desktop, in my documents, in my downloads, anything that is not on local disk D or backed up on another external hard drive, you'll automatically lose it. So it is always very important that whenever you use your computer and you have sensitive data, you should always back it up, that in the event that you get attacked, you can actually recover that data later on. Then the other bit is use of antiviruses. Then the question I'll bring here is which type of antivirus, but we shall talk about it in details as we move along. Then we have what we call a worm. Now, a worm is like a normal virus, but a sophisticated virus that has got the capability to replicate itself automatically. With the virus that I've talked about previously, you need the flash disk to take it around. You need the memory cards that you move it around. But with the worm, as long as you are on the network, the virus will be able to replicate itself, or will be able to move and recreate itself along the network. It will move from one computer to another without you actually knowing. So if your computer has no antivirus, if your computer has no proper security procedures, or you allowed open share on your computer, that means the worm will be able to move even if you've not attached a flash disk on your computer. But because one computer is affected on that network, all the people on that network will automatically be affected. And that's why the ransomware virus is more of a worm, because it propagates itself through the network. It can be spread through the emails. It can be spread through the normal access points, and you get compromised very, very fast. So worms are slightly more dangerous as compared to the normal viruses, which are going to transmit using just a normal flash drive or a removable device. Then when you talk about a logical bomb and a Trojan horse, now very many of us have tried to download softwares on the internet that have got what we call trial period. So you have a trial period of, let me say, 1 month. After the 1 month is over, it triggers, the code itself triggers the time, then the software becomes unusable. That is how a logical bomb works, where you have a software or a virus that was sent on your machine, but it will only become active after a certain condition has been met. Whether it can be met because of the time that it was given to be active after 30 minutes or after 30 days, so it becomes active, or it can be active after having clicked or double-clicked on that particular software, or where you have run or done something that triggers the virus now to start becoming active. Then you have the Trojan horses, which are also very dangerous and are very common now, because for them they masquerade as normal programs while quietly destroying data or damaging your system. Very many of us love to download games on the internet, download images, download movies, download audios. Yes, at one point they might look very okay. For those of you who will have interest in doing security at higher level, there is what you call steganography. Steganography is a term we use where someone can hide data behind an image. For you, you'll go and download an image that you think is very beautiful, very nice, but you are downloading an image, and behind that image, there is a virus that is attached to it. So to you, you are admiring this image, you are admiring this movie, you are admiring this game or this software, but behind that software is where actually we have the codes that are going to destroy your machine. So using steganography, I can hide a virus behind an image, and you, when you bring and download that image on your computer, actually you are downloading a virus on your computer, but to you, you don't know, because what has attracted you to it is that beautiful image or that beautiful video, but behind it, there is something dangerous. For those of you who love watching movies, Trojan Horse is coming from a movie we called, if those of you watched an adventure movie called Troy, where kingdoms used to fight each other. So one kingdom had a very big wall that the opponents could not easily come and penetrate or fight them. So the other kingdom came up with a very beautiful horse, but inside it was empty. So they packed very many soldiers inside. They pushed the horse next to the gate of the opposing kingdom. And when the king woke up in the morning, said, "These people no longer want to fight me, and they're giving me this horse as a token of appreciation." He ordered the servants to push the horse inside the palace. Little did he know that the horse is pushing inside the palace has soldiers. So at midnight, when everyone had slept, the soldiers came out and killed everyone in the palace. But where was the problem? The king admired the horse. The horse was beautiful, or it looked very good, but didn't know that inside that horse there were soldiers. So it's the same thing with us. You admire the image without knowing that behind that image, there is actually a software which is going to harm your computer. There is a malware that is actually going to destroy your computer. So before you admire anything, please make sure that you have a very good password, a very good antivirus that can help you to disinfect your machine or the software downloading. Then there is something that is becoming very trendy these days, and that is what you call social engineering. Now, social engineering is becoming very popular for one or two reasons. The first one, social engineering taps into the weakness we have as human beings. I know some of us on this platform today, there are those who have got a lot of money on the account. Someone is saying, I have 50 million, 20 million. It can also be 10,000. It is still a lot of money for yourself. But there is an easy way you can easily get compromised. Just imagine someone calls you, and I'm assuming that all of us are in Bank of Kigali. Calls you, sir, hello, I'm Nicholas, I'm calling from Bank of Kigali main branch, and I want to, we are doing software upgrades, and please, can you give me your password and username to update your account? And before you even think of anything, you tell the gentleman, okay, username is Katsnik, password is KATSNIC. Before you know it, that account will be having zero balance. Why?
Excuse me?
Yes, please.
I have just some kind of a small request that
Yes,
some of
please.
us who are not presenting can turn off our videos so that we don't enter. We feel like some of us are just getting frustrated or even
Okay, those who are
watching
not presenting, you can mute yourselves and disable the video. But if you want to ask a question, please feel free to interrupt me, okay? Sawa, thank you very much, Noble. Now, what I was saying, someone calls from Bank of Kigali, asks for your personal confidential data, but this is not a person working for you for Bank of Kigali, no. This is an imposter calling himself an employee of Bank of Kigali. And you, before you start doing anything or thinking, you provide the username of your account and you also provide the password to your account. It means you're giving credentials that someone's going to use to actually withdraw or perform transactions on your account. But it's because someone has pretended to be someone who you can easily trust, then you find yourself easy target for the attack. So please don't provide any confidential data to someone who is just calling you. Because I know Bank of Kigali, if he wants information from me, I know how they can be able to ask that information. Even if it's an email, you need to be sure that that is an authentic email. So social engineering, it means that they're going to perform actions or you can be able to divulge confidential information which someone is going to manipulate. Normally, they use different tricks, such as someone calling you, claiming to be a system administrator, then ask for your password. Someone can pretend to be a very good friend of yours before you find out is asking for your maiden name, is asking for your date of birth. Or can even send a bank email saying, this is an email coming from Bank of Kigali, asking for your credentials, and yet is not coming from Bank of Kigali. But allow me to share just something that is becoming very common, and some of you might even have been victims. I've just been approached by one of the ladies who is calling herself a person with a lot of money and is ready to give contributions or to people, she says, who have won. There is this lady here. who tried to engage me some time back. I think it was even on 10th of September. But I'm trying to show you how social engineering works. Now, social engineering works this way. Now, you can see this lady here. She's saying that she gives awards based on people who have won randomly. So this was on Instagram. She pretends to be what we call philanthropist, those who give out money to the needy or something of a sort. And she said, I'm so and so, I'm on Instagram, and you can be a winner that can be able to get $100 US this month. So as a person who is saying it's more of a lottery, and chose me as one of the beneficiaries that I can easily get the $100,000 US. You know, $100,000 US, that is almost 100 million Rwandan francs. Now, this is how it goes. She said I was among the winners, so I should be able to claim the prize. Now, me, I also went along just to see how far she can go. So she said, I told her that I'm ready to claim my package. So are you ready to claim your package? I said, yes, I'm interested, please. Then she told me I'm randomly picking people on Instagram and giving away $90,000 US for New Year and randomly winning. And any randomly winner will be among the ones to get. So congratulations to you. So I was among them. Then I said, thanks for your kind heart. How can I claim my gift? Now, that is where something tricky comes in. When you look at the feedback, shows you that this is a person who is not ready to give out money, but was ready to harvest personal confidential data. So he's saying that, so to claim your winnings, you will need to fill this form. So the Board of Trustees and FedEx agents can verify your identity from winning database so that they can allocate your destination when to bring the money to you. One of the things they're telling me to submit is my full name, my country, my home address, my Hangout Gmail, my phone number, my occupation, my gender, my age, and my photo. By me providing all these details to them because I want to get the $90,000 US or the 90 million Rwandan francs, I'm actually giving personal data that these people are going to use to create or to impersonate me, because now they have my date of birth because of my age. They have my photo. They have my location. They have my occupation, because they will put University of Kigali. So someone will create a profile that suits me, and anyone who will be attacked will think it is actually me, not knowing that the data that I provided to this person has been manipulated to launch attacks under my name. Now, see what becomes a bit interesting. So she told me, hope you understand. And there I took long without replying. So she said, good morning, sir. How are you doing today? How is work? Are you doing okay? Why are you not serious about winning your package? Just imagine someone who is giving you money is even following up to make sure that you get the money. Then me, I said, please, she said that, do you want to cancel your winning packages? I said, it is okay, you can cancel. Then afterwards, she says, why, sir? I don't want you to lose the great opportunity. Just imagine someone who is giving you money and now pleads with you to get the money. Instead of me, who would have now pleaded to get the money, but she's pleading to give me the money. Which means that there is something beyond the money that they are putting up as a catchy phrase for you to get involved. So when you talk about social engineering, that's exactly how it works. that someone triggers or comes and plays with your psychology, such that you give out information that they are going to use later on to manipulate you or to manipulate other people. So please don't be a victim of social engineering. Otherwise, it is very common and you can easily be attacked in that way. Now, social engineering has a number of subtopics. We have phishing, which is also one of the types of social engineering. But phishing, how does it work? It is a seemingly trustworthy entity asks for sensitive information, such as credit card numbers, login IDs, or passwords via emails. So when you're providing that information, you are basically doing what you call phishing. It is just like, this is also another problem, but I've seen this more common in Kenya. At least in Rwanda, you're a bit secure here. But in Kenya, you'll find someone sending you a WhatsApp, a message on a text message on your phone, and it tells you you have won money from M-Pesa. And you have won, let me say 20,000 from M-Pesa, 20,000 Kenyan shillings. That is close to 200,000 Rwandan shillings, so Rwandan francs. And tells you for you to access, please send your M-Pesa PIN number. That means someone is going to steal whatever you have on your account. Or there is another one who will tell you have won on M-Pesa, but the person who is telling you have won on M-Pesa is using an Airtel line. So how can M-Pesa be using Airtel? So you always have to look out for those small issues that can easily alert you that someone wants to take advantage of you. Now, there is also another component of social engineering which we call pharming. That is a counterfeit web page. The good thing right now in this forum, we have Madame Masse who teaches us internet programming. And when you're teaching internet programming or studying internet programming, you know how to create a link, or what you call a hyperlink, which when you click on it, it opens another website or web page. Now, many times for pharming, how it works, you click on a page or on a link where that link is showing University of Kigali. But when you click on that link of www.uok.ac.rw, actually the information you are getting is from another website altogether. But the link on top, it is showing that it is University of Kigali. But when you click on it, it doesn't give information of University of Kigali. It is giving information of a totally different website. That is what we call pharming. That is, a user session is redirected to a masquerading web page or website. So how do you tell that this is a masquerading hyperlink? One, before you click on that link, just try to move your cursor on top of the link. You'll find that behind the link, the words behind are not what is on the top. Two, there are very many words which are misspelled. So look at those ones. And there are many sentences with words that are not complete. So when you try to look at those inconsistencies, you can easily tell that the website they are telling me to go to is not the right website for you, okay? I know some of us here have tried to purchase items online. You are purchasing from Alibaba, you are purchasing from Amazon, you are purchasing from Jumia and all other platforms. But you click on a link and you want to pay, instead of going to the Alibaba homepage, it takes you to another page. And when you pay, that money does not go to the original Alibaba. That means that is money you have already lost and you can't claim it, because the person who is accessing that website is not the true or legitimate owner of Alibaba. But pharming is used a lot, that plays a lot along social engineering, because you trust very easily and you end up getting affected. So the link provided in the email leads to a counterfeit page, which corrects important information and submits it back to the owner. So be very careful which websites you actually connect to. But some of those websites normally have a link up there which starts with HTTPS. That is Hypertext Transmission Control Protocol. So HTTP, Hypertext Transmission Protocol Secure, because it has S there. Then whatever you be doing, you'll be sure that you are secure there. Then you have what we call the botnet. Now, botnet, here you have people who love watching, how do you call them? The horror movies. I know some people love watching horror movies. Horror movies is where we talk about the zombies. Those of you who have watched a movie like Wrong Turn, Walking Dead, those titles there even scare you before even you watch the movie. Now, it are those zombies, we call them zombies because they are under influence or they are under control of someone else. So you find a computer that is no longer working by itself, but it has been compromised by another computer. So a botnet, or what you call a zombie army.
Excuse me.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Before you proceed, I would
Yes.
like some clarification on the HTTPS impact that the platform can occur to the one who is consulting the platform.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
this one is happening because CAPOV's Rwandan
Yes.
website are not certified.
Yes.
Even UOKI platform is not. And I would like to encourage and talk about more on the impact that it can cause to the one who is consulting that platform. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks very much for the question. Yes, for you, okay, to be certified, that is a different journey. But I know we are getting there. But in a broader sense, when you have HTTPS, that is Hypertext Transmission Protocol, that secure shell is a protocol that has been put there to enhance the security of your page, meaning that any activity that is done there, anything that is done is encrypted. So it is not very easy to be hijacked by someone else. And hijacking here means no one can impersonate your web page. Now, this is where we get it. Yes, you have to register because this is a protocol that you register for. It might cost you some money, but it is rather you lose some little money now and secure yourself for all the eventualities.
Exactly.
So with HTTPS is there to make sure that yourself, you are not very easy to be targeted or to be manipulated by anyone else. That's why all international recognized, maybe those dealing with e-commerce, majority of them have HTTPS. Don't go on a website that is not certified, except UOK, because UOK website will be certified later on. But any international page that you have no way you can be able to sue and recover the money, don't engage a page that is not secure. And we shall also talk about it more in details as we move along. Are we okay there?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, just I want to add something.
No problem, Madam Masi.
Okay, well, actually about the HTTPS, these are website owners who are supposed to purchase the SSL certificate. Now, this is a certificate that ensures that the data the users enter, like password, username, and any data that you enter is encrypted when you send. Maybe you are logging in or you are submitting. So in between, people who can attack or receive that data, they cannot read it because in the middle, when you are sending that data, it will be encrypted or scrambled. Though even if there is a man in the middle who can receive the data, he cannot be able to read it. So the HTTPS is simply a certificate that is supposed to be bought by the website owners to ensure the security of transmission of data from the sender and the receiver. Now, about also the links, which the presenter was talking about, sometimes check on the link, like we have facebook.com. Now, yes, you might be in a particular website and they are telling you, go to Facebook. You want to maybe go from that website direct to your Facebook account. Now, instead of that link being facebook.com, you might find it is facebook.tk, facebook.th. You see, it's not the real Facebook link, which is .com.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much, Madam Master, for more information. And we are not moving away from or diverting from the same. Now, I can continue.
Actually, I have a question.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
In that case, between the sender and receiver, who has the right to encrypt the data?
Now, the user, the system itself, the website, just like Madam Master said, Universal Kigali website, that is www.ca.rw. The system administrator should make sure that that website is secure. That means you putting your registration details, no one else should be able to have or hack and access that information. So it's supposed to be me, the owner of the website, not you, the user. The user, you don't have the right to authenticate my website. Who is supposed to put it?
Can I add on that
Yes,
question?
Yes, you can.
So once the website owners, when I'm launching a website, there are a couple of things that I purchase. One of them is that security certificate. Exactly. Now, once I have purchased it, therefore, that's when you see my link is HTTPS and it's not missing that S, which means whenever you put on data or you send the data, that certificate automatically encrypts your data before sending it to the destination. So it is the website itself that has the certificate that encrypts your data automatically. No one who is supposed to encrypt it. Thank you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now, I want to conclude this issue of the zombie. Now, when you're talking about the botnet, you are looking at computers that have been compromised by a particular hacker. I don't know whether some of you have heard of a hacker called, I think it's called Synodon, who is the best hacker in the world over. In fact, he was an American who exposed a lot of data. And because he was going to be arrested, he ran to Russia. He's a person who can actually hack your phone when it is off, and he switches it on and makes a phone call using your phone. Now, when such a person does that, he's compromising your phone or your computer to act as a zombie. The reason I call it a zombie is because you no longer have control of your device, but someone else has control, so you can be able to send the spam mails, can be able to send viruses, can be able to flood the network with a lot of messages, so that it creates what you call a distributed denial of service attack.
Of services, DDoS.
So that DDoS attack, that one is where you've been attacked, but by several computers being compromised. You find that you have 100 computers in the computer lab. They've all been compromised to launch an attack on the server of the University Max. That is what you call botnet, where you have created a zombie army or zombies. Now, the man in the middle attack, Madam Master had brought it up, but I can still emphasize on it a bit. Now, man in the middle attack is where you think Alice is talking to Bob. And actually for you, Alice thinks he's still talking to Bob. But unfortunately, somewhere the connection between Alice and Bob has been terminated by a lady called Kathy. So for you think Alice is talking to Bob, but unfortunately, Alice is now talking to Kathy, who filters the information, can modify the information, can alter it, and then sends it to Bob. So in this way is what you call man-in-the-middle attack. You're no longer talking directly to the other person, but you're passing through an attack who can actually modify that data based on his own interest. And sometimes it might not even be modifying the data. He might still keep the data, but only stores the data, but does not modify it. So everything that you talk about, I keep a copy, but I don't modify, I relay it as it is to Bob. But that one is very common for different types of attacks that are taking place in the world, where you find yourself, you have been hacked, and the data that you keep on sending, someone else is reading it before. Then you have what you call the rootkit. This one is very, very dangerous. It's one of the few viruses. They're not very common, but when you're attacked by this type of virus, it destroys your operating system. You know the operating system like Windows, if I use that as an example, it has what you call the Windows registry.
Yes.
Now that Windows registry,
yes,
it is very easy to get attacked. Very many times you put in a flash disk in your computer and it tells you to finish installing, restart the computer. And out of ignorance, we click yes. When you click yes to restart the computer, in the process of restarting, the virus is planting itself in the kernel. Now, that kernel is the most sensitive component of that operating system that even enables the booting of your computer. Now, when the virus attacks the Windows kernel or the registry, at the end, when they start restarting now, it will display one simple word or text written NT loader missing. And it will not display the operating system. Why? The file that is new technology loading file, which is responsible for booting your computer, has been actually deleted or has been corrupted. So your operating system can no longer boot. So what you do in that case is only to reinstall that computer or to repair the operating system. But it is very much a headache to people who don't know how to do this, because you restart your computer, which was working perfectly, and just tells you your computer has been, anti-loader is missing, meaning that your operating system has been corrupted. So upon penetrating the computer, the hack may install a correctional programs called the rootkit, and normally it goes into the Windows registry. It goes to the heart of the operating system. So they can be able now to get the keyloggers, it can be able to get the sensitive information. Now the hacker will even be able to enter your computer as if it's you, and you'll never track that hack anywhere. But it is extremely very dangerous. When you get such an attack, sometimes you lose your data. Now, when you come to password cracking, I know we have very many softwares now. In computer security, we have what you call forensics or cyber forensics. Cyber forensics, you have tools that actually I can use to access your password even if you've not given it to me. I can access your computer without asking your password. But the most brutal one, or the most commonly one used, is what you call the dictionary attack and the brute force attack. Now, dictionary attack, it comes from a weakness from us, the users. You find that you created a password using dictionary phrases. You put a password like admin, password like those passwords that you feel they are very easy for you and you don't want to remember to lose them. But you've used phrases from the dictionary. So me who is going to try out, I'm going to try out all possible types of passwords, but coming from the dictionary. Then we also have the brute force attack. Now, brute force attack, that is where someone sits down and tries all possible types of passwords. Now, brute force attack, just like the name goes, it is to use any random password that can come in my head. Now, very many times we as users, we have or we leave these loopholes that can be exploited by the password crackers. One, we use words that are very easy to remember from whatever we use, that is within our personal lives. We try to use date of birth. Here, normally ladies prefer putting passwords that are connected to their emotions. Passwords about their mothers, that is their mother's name if she has just gotten married or she has just got a kid, or her firstborn, or if she's still fully in love, she will put her husband's, the name of her husband will be the password. For guys, we normally put our favorite team. If there is an Arsenal fan here, we'll end up putting the manager's name or the best player's name. Or we'll put, if he loves politics, we'll put his favorite candidate. Or if he loves the country, you find his password is Rwanda or is Kigali or something of a sort. Words that you associate yourselves with very easily. And that's where it becomes easier for someone who's going to guess your password. Now, for you to survive, there are a number of patterns you can come up with or guidelines. The longer the password, the harder it is to get cracked. And when you mix uppercase, lowercase, you mix numbers, you mix symbols, it becomes much harder for someone to crack. So this table here is showing how long will it take for someone to hack your system. If you're using social engineering, remember I've called you and asked you directly, what is the password? And you've given it to me. That means I only need one trial and the trial will be successful. If you're using the American dictionary, it has very many words. That means you're going to try over 80,000 and so many others. So this table is showing you if you use 8 characters, which are alphabetic, how long will it take? If it is lowercase, how long will it take? If it is uppercase, how long will it take? If you mix, how long will it take? And you can sit down there, if you put 12 characters, which you have mixed alphabets with numerals, with symbols, it will take you 500 years before you can succeed. So it shows you here that the longer the password, the safer you are. But we are going to go deeper into this as we move along. Now, here I can even try to pause because I'm assuming most of us who are here are IT people or we are pursuing IT courses. Anyone who knows the Rwandan law on prevention and punishment of cyber crimes? Because that law is already there. And let me just try to stop this presentation so I can show you, so that I can share with you that particular law. Just a moment here. Now, that law is, it's called Prevention and Punishment of Cyber Crimes. And it was released in 2018. Before, many African countries didn't have this. So in 2018, for Rwanda, it brought those provisions. And this law stipulates clearly what are the offenses and the punishments. There are things that we do without knowing that we are actually breaking the law. One of them I can just randomly pick. Access to data with the intent to commit an offense. That one is punishable. Unauthorized modification of computer and computer system data, punishable. Interception of computer or computer system, that is man in the middle, punishable. Unauthorized disclosure of access code, that is password, punishable. And so many, so many, so many. So after this session, I'll be able to share the presentation and these laws, say that we as students, we also need to keep ourselves updated We don't want to be, they usually say that ignorance is not defense in the courts of law. You've heard that statement, huh? For the lawyers, they usually say that ignorance of the law is not defense. You cannot say, I didn't know. The moment you say, I didn't know, that you are telling the judge, please give me the best penalty ever or the best punishment ever. So under that, when you talk about personal information, you talk about the social security numbers, the driver's license, your ID, your permits, your PIN numbers, and so many data that is personal to you that should not be exposed whatsoever. And even if someone is to someone to access my data, needs a court order or needs a security organ to access it, but not anyone. So please, yes, please. Is there someone who wants? Okay. Let me continue if no one is asking. So how do you identify that you have been compromised or your security has been compromised? Some of the symptoms, they are not only these, there are more as we shall check around. But the most common ones, you find that your computer, say your antivirus software detects a problem. That's the reason why you need to have a very good antivirus. You find that your hard disk space all of a sudden disappears. You had maybe 500 GB hard disk with a free space of 200 GB. All of a sudden, it is telling you that your hard disk is full. You have very many pop-ups that keep on coming. Files under transaction should appear in places where they're not supposed to be. Your computer starts slowing down. You start getting unusual messages on your computer. Your computer is stolen. And also one thing that you need to be very careful about, you find that your mouse starts moving even when you're not using it. Your cursor, you put your cursor at one position, then you start seeing your cursor is moving. It means that someone is using your computer or you are under attack. Or you are a zombie that your computer is being used to launch an attack on someone else's machine. As long as you see your mouse moving and you're not the one moving it, it means it's under influence or control by someone else. Your computer spontaneously or suddenly, it starts shutting down or it starts rebooting itself. Without even going to any option of you rebooting, it just does it. Then you have often unrecognized or ignored problems. So these are some of the common ways you can easily see. Then spyware symptoms. Now spywares, these are viruses that are sent on our machines just for the purposes of collecting information and send it back to the person who created the virus. So one of the symptoms is change to your browser. You find that your browser keeps on changing or your start page keeps changing, ends up on a strange site when you conduct a search. You go to Google, you want to search for www.uk.ac.rw, but unfortunately what you're getting is not what you are intended to get. System that are best firewalls are automatically turned off. That means you have a firewall, but because the attack is slightly powerful, your firewall is disabled. There is a lot of network activity even when you don't have anything you're transmitting on the network. You go to the switch and you see a lot of lights going on and off because someone is executing using your resources. Then you have excessive pop-up windows. It is very common that we have many pop-up windows for advertising, but there are times when it gets too much to the point that these ones are now taking your data and sharing it with someone else. Then all of a sudden you start seeing new icons, programs that were not there before. Then frequently firewall alerts keep telling you there are unknown programs running on your computer, and automatically there is poor system performance. Now, there are some pop-ups that I need to talk about here. There are very many times where you go to the internet or you are on a particular web page, then you get a pop-up saying you are the 1 millionth viewer of this page. Click here to claim your prize. When you click on that link, you'll find out that your computer will automatically start slowing down. Or it will start telling you put your credentials, your username, email, passwords, because they are fetching your data. There is also another one I've seen that is very common, which tells you, please, to increase the speed of your RAM or your processor, click on this link to speed it up. In most cases, whenever you click on that link, it only slows your computer because you just enabled a spyware or a ransomware attack on your machine. Then you get infected. Now, when you talk about the best defenses to avoid these threats, we are looking at defenses in depth. That is, you create what you call layers of security. Now, when you talk about layers of security, normally, our data is the most sensitive part of our lives. As a student, you might not see this as being very important, because on your laptop, the most common things you have, or the what consumes most space, is music and movies. You find that almost 90% of your hard disk is movies and music. And you'll have 5% for your notes. And then the other 5% is the operating system. Meaning that even if you lose that data, you can easily get it back. But just imagine University of Kigali having a graduation. I'm just assuming we're having a graduation in October. And the student files which contain the results, someone hacks and destroys those files. Do you think the graduation will take place? I'm very sure it might take place, but with a lot of damage control. Yes. Or if you have a data backup somewhere. So what does this mean? That when you're looking at security, the main focus of security is the data that you have on your server. That's why in the depth of defense, the innermost is data. The greener one inside there is where we have our data. Then the next ring of protection is the application. And the application here, I'm talking about the intrusion detection systems, the firewalls you have installed, the antiviruses, all those applications for one purpose, to protect your data. Then you have the host server, which also now protects, adds another layer of security. Then you have now the internal network. And under internal networks, you make sure that you have very good network devices with unique passwords. You have complex passwords that you follow a particular procedure or guidelines. Then from there, you now have the perimeter, where you now bring in people who can allow. Under the perimeter, you're having now the firewalls that protect you from the external world, and so many types of them. Then you have the physical one. Then on the outer, we have the policies, procedures, and user awareness. Policies and procedures, those are part of the university or the organization, which will have the ICT and security policy, which will have all those procedures. But you also need to have what you call a cyber incident response plan. In case you are attacked, how do you survive? What are the procedures to take when you have been attacked? That will be catered for within the cyber incident response plan. Then you should also have the staff cyber awareness training. The one I'm doing right now is actually the staff cyber awareness training. Later on, you'll see that very many problems we face is because we are not aware of the problems we are likely to face. So you end up being a victim. So you create awareness for you to be safe. So for the antivirus and the anti-spyware softwares, those ones I know right now, majority of us are using Kaspersky. But I've also seen people who claim to have antiviruses that sometimes I laugh at them. Some people have got a SmartDove. And they say, no, I have an antivirus. Which one? SmartDove. Then you're like, SmartDove is not an antivirus. Okay, it is treated as an antivirus. But when it comes to the strength of an antivirus, it is not supposed to be presented anywhere. Because One thing is having an antivirus, but the next question you ask yourself, how strong is my antivirus? How often do you do backup of, say, do you do update of your antivirus? And are you using a free one or you're using a commercial antivirus? Some free antiviruses are strong, but sometimes automatically we know cheap things are expensive. So you find that the commercial ones will automatically be more secure than the free ones. But if you don't have an antivirus, there are some free antiviruses that are also still good. On our operating system, that is Windows, you already have Windows Defender. If you go to Google now and type the best free antiviruses of 2020, you'll find that Windows Defender is number 3 on that list. So please, if you don't have an antivirus that you can use, just enable the Windows Defender. It will still work for you comfortably. But, exactly. An antivirus that is not updated is useless. Even if you have Kaspersky, which you have bought with how much money, but you don't update it, it is useless. So all antiviruses, make sure that you keep them updated so that they can be able to get the latest signature part of their database to capture all the new recent viruses. Then when you talk about firewall, a firewall is just like when you build a very big wall that you don't want someone to pass and come inside. That is how also a firewall works like in computers. So a firewall is basically a barrier that protects the internal network from the external hackers. Majority of the problems you have on the computers because of the external attacks. So someone is hacking you from China, from Jamaica, from Russia. When you put a firewall, it will be able to block anyone to attack you from an outside world because your internal network will now be fully protected. So that is basically what is there under firewall. Then it is also very important that you protect your operating system. Very many times we have operating system that since you installed it in 2018, you have never updated it. It means that that operating system is missing very many security patches or security updates. It is very important that once in a while you go to the Windows update and you update your operating system. That's when you stay safe. I can give a very simple example. The ransomware attack that attacked the world in 2017, it attacked Windows-based operating systems that had not updated their operating system. Because Microsoft, in fact, one company wanted to sue Microsoft, but Microsoft came up clear and said, excuse me, we provided these updates and you did not update your operating system. So we cannot be reliable for the mistakes that you did as a user. So for you to stay safe, always make sure that you update your operating system. It updates the security patches so that you're no longer vulnerable to the hackers. And the other bit, always try as much as possible to use your computer, but not to log in as an administrator. Remember, majority of the viruses we have, they can automatically execute themselves because they have an extension .exe. An extension .exe means it is executable and will execute without your consent. Because you are logged in as an administrator, it automatically embed itself. But if you use your account or your computer using the account called standard account or limited account, it means that that account cannot even allow you to install, to uninstall, to format a flash disk. Any administrative work cannot be done on that account. So any virus that would have entered your system immediately, it will not enter because you are not using the administrator account. And the rest is what I've been talking about. Then the other bit, which I've also talked about, but briefly I'm going to explain a little bit, is using strong passwords. How strong should those passwords be? It is now dependent on which policy you have in place. Policy in terms of how long should the password be. We are saying at least 8 characters. Some of us have got password as ABCD, 4 characters. I have a friend of mine who has a password. He presses the space button 4 times, and that is his password. You have another one having a password of 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's a password. Majority of the IT people, when they're designing softwares, their passwords are admin, and that is also a weakness. So you should always have a combination of uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and special characters. A mixture of those, it makes it harder for someone to guess your password, but you can easily remember your password. So let me just try to take you through. Randomly, we try to choose a password from what we can. Let me try to choose a password from the word Musanze. I know very many people will tell me, but Musanze is very common. Someone can easily guess that one. Okay? But let me try to make Musanze in a way that I can make the password harder, but for me, I can easily remember. Because to me, I'll remember that my password is Musanze. But which characters did I use under the word Musanze is what someone might not understand. So Musanze is M-U-S-A-N-Z-E. But this is how I'm going to make my password from the word Musanze. I'm going to put capital M, and I put small u, and instead of putting S, I put 6, because now my S will represent 6. Instead of putting A, I put at. I say where you put your emails, where you put digitalkatarinicholas@gmail. Now that at there, instead of putting A, I put at. Instead of putting N, I replace it with 9, because now N is the first letter for 9. Then I put, where you see Z, now I put capital Z. And where there is supposed to be E, now E is going to be the start of my character, so from my word 8, so I put 8. And at the end, I put exclamation mark. Is that password simple or hard?
Too hard.
It's so hard. It's so hard, I'm telling you.
It is not hard. Because I've just used the password Musanze. But the way I've interchanged my characters, numbers, and symbols, it will be very hard for someone else to know that password. That's what we talk about, complexity of passwords. Because my password is capital M, small u, 6, at, 9, capital Z, 8, exclamation mark. That one, unless when you know how I generate my password, it will be very hard for you to remember. Someone to hack it. But me as a person who put it there, I can easily remember. So when you're creating passwords, please don't make them so obvious that someone can easily hack you. So under the guidelines, just to enhance more, to briefly talk about them, 1 should be private, used only by one person. It should always be a secret. You should not share your password with anyone. It should be easier to remember. So please don't write down the password. Very many of us have created passwords, and because they are too complex, you end up writing down on a paper. In security, we have what you call dumpster diving. Dumpster diving can work on 2 ways. It can be physical, where we'll check the yellow stickers in your office, or it can be online, where you'll be able to dumpster dive in your cookies. Remember, your cookies keeps history of your passwords. So I can easily go in there and I filter the data and I get your password. So please don't write them down, and as much as possible, empty your cookies as often as possible. Then always should have a complex requirement for the organization that I've said so. But the one that I want to emphasize on, please always keep changing your passwords regularly. I know this is a very big disease for majority of us here. You created your Gmail account in 2015, and up to today, you have never changed that password. It is the same password used on Gmail. You use it on Facebook. It's the same one you use for Twitter. It's the same one you use for your email, say for your laptop. It is the same you use on your phone, meaning that I can easily compromise you by just getting that password. Everything you have, I'll be able to have access to it. So it is always very important that you keep changing your passwords. That's when you are sure and safer long term. Then avoid social engineering and malicious.
Question, please, sir.
Yes, please, you can ask.
Yeah, my name is John.
Yes, Mr. John.
Yeah, I just wanted to know about these operating systems that we use most of the time, and is keep on asking us to activate because most of us download it from internet. So, what in terms of security, what kind of threats that are we exposed on? And also, the second question, please. That's the two questions.
It's okay.
And the second question about, most of the time, this last time, people use Android phone,
Yes.
Android operating system more than PC, because most of the time it's mobile.
Yes.
So what's kind of the security that we can rely on by protecting us against all those attacks?
Okay. Thank you very much for the question, Mr. John. Now, just to answer the first one, you know, whenever Windows start telling you activate, is telling you that please you are using a software that you don't have rights over, that you don't own. Now, there are advantages when you use unauthentic software. And this one, I'm putting it in general. It might be the operating system, it can be any other software or application software, but whenever you're using unauthentic software, there's some advantages you are going to get there. One, you'll always receive the software updates very fast because you are a legitimate user. Two, you can easily get support from the people who manage that software. Now, whenever you use a plagiarized or a pirated version of the operating system, whenever you want to update yourself, it blacklists that operating system. Because you're a thief who is going to the owner and say, please, can you put a password in the phone I stole from you? That is when you are trying to activate and try to you are using a plagiarized or a pirated version of the operating system, but you want to get updates from the authentic creator of that software. So very many times you find that it's very easy to get attacked because you don't get the frequent updates from Windows. And because you don't have the security updates from Windows, it leaves your computer vulnerable to attacks. Then we also have the issue where you talked about the operating system on our phones. Majority of our Chinese phones, okay, even if it's not Chinese, but majority of our phones uses Android. Just like example, I used at the beginning when I asked about people who use Android, so use Windows and those who use Linux. In terms of security, Linux is more secure than Windows. Now, it is the same thing with phones. Android is at the bottom of the layer when it comes to security. You know, security is not cheap. If you ask right now, and if you go to Google and ask which phone is used by Bill Gates, you'll find that Bill Gates up to today is still using which one? Anyone who knows which phone does Bill Gates use?
His iPhone, Apple.
Wapi?
He's
using BlackBerry. He's using BlackBerry. He uses BlackBerry. Why? When you come to security of computers, So for security of operating systems for phones. BlackBerry is using the backbone of Unix. So it is more secure. That's why, for those of you who follow technology, BlackBerry company was going to be closed off like 5 years ago. But the rich men came up and said you cannot close that company. So it still provides the phones which are expensive, but extremely very secure. Then from there, you bring in now the iPhones, then our Android comes there. So with Android, one of the ways you can protect yourself, please don't download apps that have not been verified. Majority of the apps that you have on the Google Play or Google Store or Play Store, they are very much compromised. They look to be very good apps, but behind they're actually fetching private data and sending it to someone else. You find that there are a lot of adverts on some of the apps you download from the App Store, from the Play Store. Some of the apps we have on our Android don't even work on iPhones or Blackberries, because iPhones and Blackberries using the App Store, they're extremely very secure, that these apps that are going to fetch your data anyhowly, they are automatically blocked. So to finalize your question, for us who are using Android, please be very careful on which apps you download from the Play Store. Any app you download and now starts asking for access to your phone book, access to your storage, and yet it's just a game, please uninstall that app. It is not good for you because it's just copying the data and sending it to someone else. So that is what I can say there, but I can continue with this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So when you come to social engineering, please don't open email attachments unless you are expecting that email or it is from a trusted sender. Please, you can try to mute yourself. Okay, I've muted everyone because I'm getting an echo. Please don't click on any link unless you're absolutely sure that they are valid. And always visit websites that you are sure that they are trusted. Then there is something that hackers normally do, and we also fall into it. There are these things, there are some programs that come, pop-ups that come up and tells you, please agree, install this program, yes, no, cancel. Please never click on any of those three. Don't click on yes, don't click on no, and don't click on cancel. Click on that cross icon up there at the top to close it. Because any of the three that you click on, still it will open that software, or it will still open that program. And if it is having a virus, that virus will automatically have spread on your computer. So when you get search, please don't click on yes, no, cancel. No, just click on the upper closing option, or you just press Alt F4. It will close it without you clicking on it. Then there you'll be much safer. For the secure business transaction, this one we've talked about it. That is with the HTTPS, and Madame Massey emphasized on it more. So I will not go so much in details. Maybe what I need to talk about is frequently delete your temporary files, your cookies, your history, and any saved passwords. Because that data can easily be captured. If someone sends you a spyware, we'll be able to capture a lot of information from your temporary files, from your history, from your cookies, and any saved passwords. And as I told you at the beginning, please make sure you back up your data. It is not, with security, it's not about when, so it's not about whether it will happen or not. It is a matter of when will it happen. So for you to be safe, make sure that you create a backup, and a backup of essential data. Don't back up things that you can easily get back from YouTube, or the data that you can easily get from the Pirate Bay or those movies. Backup data that you think if you lose it, actually it will compromise your work. I know you can do data recovery, but data recovery is slightly expensive. And you might find that some softwares for data recovery, you might not be able to recover 100% of your data. So for you to be safe, back up your data that in the event you lose the original copy, you can come back and get back the data that you had initially. Then when you talk about the cyber incident reporting, this one you need to know. If you have been hacked, what do you do first? Who do you contact? How do you move on? How do you recover the data? That is all what is contained within the cyber incident report or the cyber incident policy. So one of them is don't attempt to investigate or remediate.
How are you?
Someone has a question? Okay, no one has a question. So one, don't attempt to investigate if you're not authorized to. Inform the system administrator or the person in charge. Don't power off your machine or disconnect from a system unless you have been instructed to do so. But one thing that I need to tell you, if it's a personal computer and you find out that you have been hacked, the first thing you do is to disconnect your network. When you disconnect your network, you are actually stopping any attack, because now it will become a standalone computer where you'll be much safer there. For fraud, this one I've talked about it, that is a very big loss internationally. You can see how much money is lost internationally. You're talking about $652 billion US dollars. That is money lost in terms of fraud or cyber attacks. How often does it take place? It is also there, but normally the companies that suffer more are the small companies, because they lose a lot in terms of the average dollar per loss. And here I've just put for you where the tips coming from where. There are tips that will come from employees or co-workers that take a percentage of 64%. There are those who might warn you from anonymous or customers or vendors, but all in all, you should be able to know how to discover that fraud has taken place. Then in conclusion, training and awareness is, as I in users, go a long way in minimizing attacks. Well-trained users are better in identification of phishing emails than anyone else. So that's why we are doing training now, because of the impact it has, the overall impact it has on security. And that's why I said, with IT security, please just do it. The biggest IT security threat is not doing anything. I believe in God, but in my tribe, we have in my culture, we have a saying that as you are praying, you have a lion that is attacking you. As you pray, you also run. But otherwise, you sitting and kneeling down and you pray as the tiger is coming for you, you are now actually going against the God's commandment of which, when said, don't tempt your God. So in security, please, we have a saying that goes that always hope for the best, but always prepare for the worst. Meaning that you cannot sit down there and you think you'll be safe. Please do something to keep yourself. And all in all, human error is to blame for 99% of data breaches in UK. Now the question is, what is the percentage of human error in Africa? If data breaches in UK takes 88%, what is the percent of data breaches caused by human error in Africa? That is up to you, not me. So here I put some references that you can go for later on, say that you can be able to understand, but I can show you some here. Let me just try to share my web page say I can be able to emphasize one or two things that I was talking about. Just a moment. But meanwhile, you can ask questions if you have them.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Eric.
Yes, please.
I would like to back to what you have told us about those attacks.
Yes, please.
Refer to what you have been told us for the HTTPS.
Yes,
for
please.
securing our sites or some systems.
Yes.
Actually, there is what you call the ethical hacking, where an
Yes.
attacker try to attack someone for showing him or her how can do for protecting his systems.
Exactly.
Normally, let me take an example for our system of work for online results.
Yes.
So someone can try to attack this system for showing the brief report for attacks, for preventing the system. Is this law can punish him or her?
No. Now, it is very good that you have, Mr. Eric, thanks for that question. I was going to forget about it. Now, in security, what you have just talked about is what you call vulnerability scanning.
Yes.
Vulnerability scanning. Vulnerability means a weakness in a system. Now, a weakness in the system can only be verified by someone who you trust. Now, I have what you call ethical hackers. Ethical hackers, these are people who have even been certified to test the systems. That person is not going to be arrested by anyone because it is me who has paid you money to come and test my system so that you can tell me the weaknesses in my system for me to improve it later. That is what you call ethical hacking or vulnerability scanning. It is very, very important for any user. I can even give an example. FBI, just I think last year or the other year, put 150,000 US dollars. That is 150 million Rwandan francs for anyone who can hack their system. What they are doing there is what you call vulnerability scanning. That anyone who will be able to hack and succeed will be able to write a report saying, your system I hacked because there is a weakness, maybe on the protocol layers that you're using. Maybe there's a weakness in terms of the encryptions. Maybe there is a weakness because of the usability and something of a sort. So it is very true. For you to say that you are safe, there is supposed to be someone who is supposed to have hacked your system to prove to you that you are safe. But that person will never be arrested because you are the one paying him money to steal or to check how secure your system is. But in forensics, that is what we call vulnerability scanning. So let me just try to wind up here. Some of the links I've put is, there's one here from IEEE, which is a governing company for us in IT or engineering. They published the five cybersecurity threats that we need to be aware of in 2020. And some of them have talked about them. When you're dealing with cloud, there is a cloud vulnerability. There is the artificial intelligence, enhanced cyber threats. We have the machine learning poisoning. We have the smart contract hacking. You have the social engineering attacks, which I've talked about. But the one of my interest for me is what we call the deep state. Now, this one, please don't quote me. I'm going to use an example just for academic purposes. Now, last week or the other week, the president, my beloved president, Paul Kagame, came up and said, I learned that I'm dead from social media. I know many of us have seen those videos going around.
Yes, I've seen.
And he came up, I think there was a conference, and said, I just learned that I'm dead on social media. Someone can laugh because it's laughable. How can you do that? But in the world of cybersecurity and cyber crimes, there is a new tool that people are using, which we call the deep fake. Now, this tool we call the deep fake, it allows someone to create a video that impersonates another person. That I'm Katenda Nicholas in my office, someone manipulates my audio, someone manipulates my video, and sends a message that is totally wrong. For you who sees that message, you'll think that I'm the one saying it. And I might even get arrested for it. But when you do the background, you find out that that information, it's not me who did it. But someone used a software that can create a deep fake video and portrays it as if I'm the one. And that is exactly the people who are portraying the president to be dead. That is what they were doing. They're using a software called deep fake to fake the videos that show that someone is dead when he's not dead. Then if you go to the link that I'm going to share with you later on, there is a deep fake video of Barack Obama trying to explain some few things. But that video is wrong, is very fake, because he's not the one who said it. But anyone who will see it and doesn't have time to authenticate the video might try to think that it is actually true, which is not true. So this deep fake, please, it is extremely very dangerous in this world of social media. Be very careful on which type of posts that you share. Some of the videos you might share might be actually deep fake videos, and you compromise security of some other people without you knowing. So I would wish to conclude with that. And I'll be very glad to entertain as many questions as possible. And I had to make sure that I restrict my presentation in 2 hours, which at least I'll try to make that. And please, those of you who have not done so, send your just type the username, say your name and phone number in our chat, so that in future we can contact you. Those who would wish to ask questions using the chat, you can also ask questions using the chat. Now I can be able to go through. Those of you don't, please just type your name and your phone number, then we can get back to you. If you want, you can even put your email address. Remember that we said we are going to issue out certificates. So we shall need to have your contacts very easily for us to follow back on. So I'm very much open to questions if you have any. There are those who have been asking as I'm presenting, but there are those who might have preserved the questions for the end. So if you have, please feel free to ask me now.
I have a question, sir.
Yes, please.
I would like to add, and I would like to ask, like, for example, what you have been saying,
yes,
that you might see a time from that they're hacking your device,
yes,
your computer. So in that case, what can you do when you see, for example, the cursor moving itself and you're not moving it? What can you do in that situation at that moment?
Okay. Thank you for the question, Alice. Now, what you do when you get to know that you have been hacked, some of the first thing you do is disconnect the network. Say that you can be able to change your password. The next line of defense is, if it is your computer has been hacked, change your password immediately. Because when you change the password, you'll now filter off whoever was in and not be able to get back in the computer. So please, you make sure that you filter. So you make sure that you change your password, so that you disable the person. The other bit, you might even go ahead and change the operating system. If you are using Windows 10 and you had taken too long before updating or reinstalling, you can update your operating system if you don't want to lose the data, or you can just completely replace that operating system by formatting your computer. When you format your computer, it means you are disconnecting the hacker from your system. So you can be able to at least reinstall an operating system where you put a new strong password and then you're safe. If it is an email that has been hacked, it is the same thing. Change your password. That is your first thing that you're going to do. I know some of us here might be having the Yahoo accounts. Yahoo accounts were hacked some time back. I think 2018 or 17. All Yahoo accounts were hacked. And the only way to succeed was to change the password. Now, some of us, because of weaknesses, personal weaknesses, there's some security that have been embedded in our softwares that we don't use. On Gmail, on Yahoo, there is what you call the two-step authentication procedure. What does this mean? That you put in your username, that is your email address, you put the password, but before you log in, it will also tell you or send you a code on your phone. Please enable that authentication procedure such that before you can be able to enter and now log into fully in your email, you put in that password that has been sent on your phone. What does this mean? That you knowing my password alone is not enough. Yes, you might know my email address and the password, but if you don't have my phone, that means you'll not be able to succeed in logging into my account. But if you've not enabled that security feature, please from today, when we log out of this meeting or this workshop, go to your security settings of your maybe emails, that is Yahoo or Gmail, or even WhatsApp. Say that you allow the two-way authentication mechanism. That yes, you put in the password as one-way authentication. Then it will send a password on your email that you will be prompted to put that password in your email address, and then you'll be much safer. That is one way that Gmail, Yahoo, and other companies are trying to secure their platforms. But it is you to enable it. If you don't enable it and you get hacked, you can no longer blame Gmail because that feature is there for you to enable. Even if the hacker tries to hack your account and put a password, you'll get a message on your phone of which now it will tell you that someone else is trying to activate your account. Then you go and change that password immediately. So have I answered your question?
Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Thank you. Yes, please, you can ask.
I have a question.
Yes, you can ask.
I have a question. Yeah, my name is Daniel.
Yes, Mr. Daniel.
Sir, talking about password complexity.
Yes, please.
You showed us using the Muzansi as an example of password complexity.
Yes.
Now we are using quantum computing.
Yes.
From the old system of computing, where computing has become so complex to the extent that this kind of passwords are easily broken by this complexity of our quantum system of new operations.
Yes.
How best can we now use the new procedures being built on with respect to the quantum computing in securing our systems? And again,
yes,
talking about when you see that there's somebody have hacked your system,
yes,
you need to go off the line, go offline,
yes,
and
exactly,
later come back,
yes,
or change the operating system,
yes,
or exactly go or restart the system.
Yes.
When the system is an enterprise system like banking system,
yes,
or any operating system using big servers, can we go offline or can we switch off the system and later restart? Because some of them have a lot of procedures when they are being switched on in
yes,
order for them to do different calculations before the systems will come up. How do we go about it?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. One, let me start with the last one. When you talk about systems that have been compromised, I can give an example of M-Pesa. We know M-Pesa is one of the systems that is making a lot, because M-Pesa makes around 64 billion Kenyan shillings a year in terms of profits. Now, when the companies, at the beginning, I was talking about the ransomware attack that attacked the whole world. And Safaricom was one of the companies that were attacked. You'll see a humble message from M-Pesa or Safaricom saying because of maintenance, sorry, our services are going to be offline from this time to this time. What they're trying to do is to safeguard themselves or to improve their security, because the company has been attacked. In fact, there's a time it was completely off. You could not call, you could not transact for money, so you are shut off. But they deliberately put it offline so they can be able to upgrade their software. Just like it is your computer which has been hacked that you need to upgrade your software or upgrade your computer. So that one happens in real life. I think, was it last year or 2018? The second busiest airport in the world, that is in UK, the Heathrow Airport. It was on a standstill for 2 days, a whole weekend, because it was attacked and hijacked. They had to freeze all applications for them to reboot and reset its procedures and set its system. So it happens, because if you don't reset yourself, there is a lot that you're going to lose. So for you not to lose that, you rather shut off, you apologize to your customers and maybe compensate them with airtime or anything, but you have to make sure that you recover from the incident. That's why we have the cyber security incident recovery policy. So one of them might be to shut off so that you can be able to recover fully. The other thing about passwords on our phones and computers, now a password is just the first line of defense. We should not rely on 100%. What you do in a computer, in an environment where you know you deal with a lot of sensitive data, it is always very important that you have a firewall. That is another layer of security. Another layer of security can also bring in what you call a proxy server. A proxy server is designed in a way that it works like a firewall, because it will filter everything that comes from outside. But a proxy server goes an extra mile, that it will even block some particular websites that cannot be accessed in the office or in the company, or as students, you can't access them. Why? Some of the websites might have been filtered because of potential damage. So they're filtered off automatically to stop you. But you have the password as your first line of defense. You have the antiviruses. You have the firewalls. You have the proxy servers. And then the policies that come into place to guide you or to safeguard you. So yes, password is the first one, but it should not be the last one. There are so many other things that you can put in place so that you can stay safe operating the way you are. Have I got you very well there? So I can, if there's anyone can ask one more time, one more question, so that we can close the session.
I have one question.
Yes, Mr. Benjamin.
Yes. Now, this time around, thank you very much for the presentation. This time around, we use our emails on phones and tablets.
Yes.
And this presentation focused on computers.
Yes.
So I was wondering, is there a way of protecting our emails from, or is there a possibility hackers also can hack the phones? To what extent phones are protected, or how can I know that my phone are hacked?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, for phones, your first line of defense is still password. The only problem we have with some of us here, there are people who use, we have different types of passwords on our phones. There's that one, I usually call it the swag password. For those that they used like us, we know what swag means. Swag means something that you just do stylishly. The patterns, you draw a pattern on your phone. But that phone, I don't need to be a security expert to hack the password you have put as a pattern. By reflecting it in the sun, I can easily see the patterns you have left on your phone. There is also another swag password which we are calling the biometrics. Very many of us love the biometrics. And a biometrics would have been very good. But the only problem is, when you sleep, is your fingerprint also sleeping, or it can still be active? You know, someone, if I sleep in my office and I've left my phone on the table and someone enters my office, he only needs to get my finger, put it on the fingerprint scanner, the phone opens up, takes whatever text he wants or sends whichever email he wants, because the fingerprint, even if you're sleeping or awake, it will still be accessed. So when you use your passwords, the character or mixture of passwords on your phone, it will still help you. But the only problem we have is the type of operating system. Because the type of operating system we are using is the Android. And just like I've told you, Android is very easy to manipulate. I can give you, if you can try to check even internet, there is an Indian boy who was 13 years of age, I think last year or the other year, who hacked an Android phone. Why? The architecture of the Android phone is not as secure as the one for iOS or the one used by the BlackBerry. So that one, it compromises us a bit. But what you do is, just like I told you before, don't download apps that are going to compromise your security, because there are those apps that are designed as spywares that you can download and someone can use them to hack you. Always make sure that you change your passwords on your apps on your phones. And always make sure that if you are not online, disconnect. Or you can even be restarting your phone once in a while. Or you can reset your phone once in a while. Just like the way you format your computer, and also keep updating your phone, because the updates coming for Android will also help you to keep safe.